Hey, folks, you're listening to the Wrecking Crew Comedy Podcast. And today, my co host today is the one and only Dragnauct Silvis. Say hi, Dragnauct.
Hi, Dragnauct.
And we're talking to the one and only martial arts expert, Science Sam, is with us.
Hello. I wouldn't say I'm an expert.
Well, you could
Just
lie.
a,
I
a
mean,
fan and
I got
practitioner.
I got 4 fucking people that listen to the show, so they would be impressed. Totally lie. That's the only way you get through anything these days. It will come back and bite you in the ass, but for the time being, people will look up at you. So yeah, no, we're Drag. You guys are really good friends. Drag is co-hosting, and Drag was in the army, and you also have. So he had Drag. You have some. You were taught some martial arts yourself, were you not?
Yeah, the type of martial arts that we call is based off of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's called the Modern Army Combative.
Okay, and that is something. Is that anything that Sam? Am I wrong? Was it not jujitsu that you're in?
Yeah. I'm currently a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitor and practitioner. So yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I think when it comes to ground fighting, I don't think you can argue that Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, hold on.
You can't argue that Jiu-Jitsu isn't the most effective. I should say. I think it definitely is.
Oh, that's cool. No, I'm getting some like wind noise or something. Any of you guys?
Yeah, I'm outside, so that's me. So I'll try to mute
Yeah,
when I'm
try
not talking.
and that's it's picking up. It sounds like you're in the an episode of Wizard of the Oz there. Wizard the Oz. Wizard. Fuck, I sound like Ronnie. Wizard of Oz. I have never. Have you ever watched the whole movie?
Not for a while.
Yeah, me neither. Everybody says it's a fantastic movie, and I watched it when I was little. The Witch scared the shit out of me when I was little, so I never really watched it. But I don't know. I never thought it was one of those things where people go, "Oh, you got to see the Wizard of Oz. It's amazing. It's the best. It's blah blah blah." And you go and watch it, and you're like, "These fucking monkeys are scary."
They're really creepy. I will say that. Like, there's a reason why it's used as like a classic creepy image in all movies.
Yeah. The I'm flying all over the place because I just did a couple lines of coke, so I'm ready to go, boys. So just try and stay with me. We're gonna jump from topic to topic. We're only gonna go 8 hours here, so I want us to get as much as possible. The jujitsu that Drag, is it similar to what you learn? What you do, Sam?
Uh, they're based off the same tenets. For instance, you want to gain control of your opponent, whether you have them in your guard, or there's bottom mount, there's top mount. A lot of the same tenets. Really, the only difference that I could see from what Sam does is that we are looking to either kill or incapacitate our opponent, and it's almost a fight to the death every time. In fact, when you are training with your partner, you are actually trying to kill them at each and every time. So that's why uh, modern army combatives can only be performed when there is at least uh, a level. How can I say this? If there's a bunch of level ones participating in a bout, there
Right.
has to be at least one level two present to make sure that they don't actually kill one another. And so if you have level twos competing, there needs to be at least one level three, so on and so forth. So I want to say there's 4 total levels where you're incorporating striking and different types of maneuvers that the lower levels aren't really privy to because they have not been properly trained on how to use it. So uh, we practice it with caution, but it is also a fun exercise and it's good for stress relief. In fact, one occasion I came back from lunch and me and the other medics were involved in a brawl with the mortarmen across the hall from us. Some of them had been, there's no nice way to say it, they've been talking shit. So we said, all right, well, we'll show you who's tough. And so we all, uh, we went sterile. It means basically you take all your pins out of your pockets, all your badges and everything off, and then you,
That because I don't practice with strikes. So there's differences in sort of the distancing and the timing. Um, but I have no doubt that it's like anything. If you do it at a high level, you can easily translate it to something that's just slightly different. So I mean, it's not meant to be a fight for the life, but I'm sure it could be, and I think competition would simulate that.
Like, Sam, you could kill somebody and just when like they're lying there, just go fuck off. I was in the army. Like that's the shit we were taught. Okay, and just walk away. Just drop the mic and walk away.
Certainly in theory.
So
I mean, I have had to choke people unconscious in sort of a somewhat self-defense situation. So
right.
it's against someone. I mean, the key thing is right. Against you can make up any situation for self-defense, right, and find some sort of arbitrary blend of skills or situation where whatever you're doing wouldn't work. I mean, of course, if I face a Golden Gloves boxer who also has the has college level wrestling, well, yeah, no shit, he's going to kick the shit out of me. I don't know how to box, but against an untrained opponent, I mean, they're not going to know how to strike.
Right, and I've seen it. I've seen a guy that knew martial arts, and he went up against a guy that was a lot bigger, and everybody had no idea that the kid knew how to do martial arts, and the look on everyone's face, including the aggressor, was stunned because he's about to get his head kicked in. Yeah, it's something where jiu-jitsu is a lot of it's using your mind and figuring out the weakness of your opponent. Am I right? It's not just physical. Like even boxing is there is a science to it, but jiu-jitsu is you physically. Do you not need to touch the other guy like one arm on each shoulder, pretty much, right? And take them down. But the other person, depending on how they stand or how they, I mean, it is a game of chess, right? If the other person knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's high level chess, and it's even more complex than chess because with chess you have a set number of pieces, whereas people are constantly innovating in jiu-jitsu. But I mean, of course, I mean, there's not some magical Wing Chun energy that you can channel and then kick someone's ass. I mean, it's based on the biggest thing is that it's based off of the basic mechanics of how do humans move and how to use leverage to control someone. And so it's very physical. I would say it's short of striking, it's about as physical as you can get in a fight exchange.
Now, if you were to okay, Drag was in the military. He was used that. The military would look at the martial arts out there and say, this is the best technique to use once you go hand-to-hand combat. That's why the American forces chose that. Am I right, Drag?
Yeah, they looked at a few systems. They got with the first system. I think it was something in Russia that they used, and they found that it wasn't very effective because keep in mind that when you're going to be employing these tactics, you're going to be within striking range, because you're not going to discharge a weapon when someone's less than 6 feet from you. Mm-hmm. So you have to take that into account, and also the brutality of like Krav Maga. Krav Maga is very effective for what it does. But
yes, that's right.
Really practice that. And that was the big issue as to why that wasn't adopted. And so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, for what we need it for, it served the purpose, both for training purposes and for gaining control of the situation when someone is within striking distance.
Right. And Sam was saying, of course, you wouldn't want to kill the opponent. Well, militarily, of course, you would. There's a difference between tournament and military use. Were you allowed to? For me, my understanding is if you're in a fight in the military, doesn't matter how pretty it looks as long as you get it done. If you need to punch him in the face, you punch him in the face. In Sam, your technique, there is no closed fist punching, right?
Yeah, there's no striking. But I mean, I will say it doesn't mean that everything has to look elegant, right? If you look at Rafael Mendes, who is, I believe, a six-time featherweight champion now for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, inarguably the greatest featherweight of all time. If you look at him, what he does, it's very, very beautiful. His style is very, very beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. Whereas you look at, a guy who I think right now is arguably the pound for pound best, although it's pretty close, is this guy Marcus Almeida, Buchecha. And Buchecha, he's nothing he does is particularly pretty, but he's athletic and he's gritty. And so it's about effectiveness, 100%. I mean, you can, I have sort of a phrase that I like to use, which is called an Instagram black belt, right? Someone who Instagrams these beautiful, beautiful flows of technique that you would never see them use in a tournament, or, I have friends who do this even, where they'll make a video of some really cool looking technique that they've never done in competition.
Right.
And so, my style personally, yeah, if it looks cool, that's great. But for me, if it's just effective, that's what I'm going for. I'm not athletic enough where I can make everything look completely slick.
Right. No, well, I heard one of the coolest things was I love ancient history, like ancient Rome history, the gladiatorial fights. And my understanding was if two guys were to fight, if you were to fight Drag, you would both agree that you're too important to die stupidly. So let's make it look good. Let's make the fight, let's do these really cool moves that the crowd will go nuts. And when it comes to it, the emperor and the crowd could, make us live instead of one of us killing each other. If we really, do these amazing moves, we're gladiatorial, where these guys, these two gladiators would go at it. It would be like back then. It'd be like a Mike Tyson going against, not Larry Holmes, but whoever, a top champion, Buster Douglas. Well, he kicked the shit out of Buster Douglas. Buster was lucky, but get two champions, put them in there, and they don't want them to die, but they want a good fight. But they would do these amazing moves that even if you were sitting way up in the gray seats and the rafters, you would see these amazing moves and go, holy shit, did you not see what he just did? And what you're saying about, friends doing those moves, it's like watching blood sport. There's these amazing moves, but if you ever watch, I think it was one time in MMA where a guy did a roundhouse and it was like something out of a movie, and it was one of those moments where you're like, holy shit, he actually nailed him, and it was like you would think they choreographed it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you're probably thinking of Edson Barboza versus Terry Edom.
Yeah, when he did
I highly recommend.
Yeah.
And he hook kicked him in the face.
Yeah, it was something you would think was in a movie. It was so well done.
Yeah, I mean, if it's fancy, it can work, right? I mean, the thing is, though, is does it work? Does it work with, John Danaher has a phrase about jiu-jitsu that I think applies to all fighting, which is that fighting is that, the techniques that you ultimately embrace are a combination of your personality and your body type. A certain type of person is going to do that kind of fancy shit, but also you have to have the sheer athleticism to be able to do it. Like, I think that personality-wise, probably just based on their fighting styles, Anthony Pettis is very similar to Edson Barboza, but some of the explosive, like spinning stuff, you don't really see a lot of. You see a lot of explosive stuff from Pettis, but I don't think just the raw explosiveness is there. But then again, he's jumped off of a fucking cage and kneed a guy in the face.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's all dependent on sort of what you know and what you've practiced, and just ultimately how your personality allows you and your body allow you to carry something out. Like I said, you can't argue that, Rafael Mendes and Buchecha are both effective. And I have no doubt that, Buchecha would be able to do some of the stuff that Rafael Mendes does. But, he's even said in interviews, like, that's just not. It's not something he likes. He
Right.
likes doing other stuff, and so the question of whether a technique is effective, I think, it's contextualized in what type of competition and what type of person, and then you add in, just the X factor of, is it a practical technique that uses physical principles properly?
Right. And how long did it take you, the level at which you're at? How long did it take you to get to the level you're at?
Well, I mean, I'd like to think I'm constantly improving, but until I sort of started to really understand jujitsu, I would say maybe only a couple months ago. So probably, close to 2 years, where I started to really understand like certain aspects. But I'm always learning more about each position, so it's hard to say. I mean, I think jujitsu is almost like kind of infinite,
Mm-hmm.
where there's some things that implicitly came easier to me that I understood. There were some things that I had to really explicitly learn, and so I think each there's always deeper layers. And of course, I say that with the benefit that, my instructor is, a legend in the sport. So, when you have a guy with that depth of knowledge, who also fosters, he's not a dictator about it. He says, if this is your game, you go and do it. And, he doesn't just teach us what he does in tournaments, because we're not all, he's built like a fire hydrant. Not all of us are.
Right.
So I think, I've been sort of the fortunate recipient of excellent training partners and excellent coaches.
Well, that's good. They do call you this Science Sam, so you do have the brains. When you're fighting, I think that is. I think the brain is the best weapon you could have. You could be the strongest dude on the planet, but if you're smart about it, you can beat anybody with muscles coming out of you. A really strong person. I mean, sure, they have the natural strength, but if they do something stupid, I mean, I think I talked to you before about when Brock Lesnar, his first fight, when he went in there, and it was just I mean, Brock was twice the size of the man, but the other guy beat him just by putting him in a submission hold where he could have easily snapped Brock's ankle in half. I think the brain is the most important piece, and if you got that, you're incredibly dangerous, a deadly opponent. If I see a champion, again, you see guys that are incredibly smart in the ring. Larry Holmes, of course. I'm talking boxing, but incredibly smart guy. There's Michael Spinks. Well, there were a few times he was smart until he got in the ring with Tyson. But there were you got to be a smart guy. What I wanted to ask you guys was, because you both have the fighting technique, and Drag was in the military, and Drag was saying that you were taught when you fight somebody to kill him. You're not to maim them. You kill them. Okay. There was that shooting the other night, and I don't want to get into this whole shit, but when I saw the shooting, there was a black man. He was shot. Okay. And when I watched it, I thought, why couldn't you just shoot him in the arm or the leg? Why do they always? Why is it always the kill shot? And should the police be taught, maybe don't go and, I mean, they never shoot a person in the head. They're always going for the heart or the lung, but should they be taught that maybe they're taught, they must be taught militarily, kill the person. Don't maim them. But I think it would be I think a better thing if you just maim somebody. If you just if you see somebody reaching for something, shoot them in the arm or something. You don't need to kill them. What are your thoughts on that? Should the police be taught, try not to do kill shots, just shoot the person in the leg, like in the Western movies, like shoot him in the leg, don't kill him?
Well, it's a kind of a complex issue because her shooting is actually not the issue. It is simply it's the escalation of force, and I'll get into that in a second. But when you are engaging someone, any target, you should aim center mass, and that is pretty much, I'd say, universal for any type of paramilitary, military, um, you know, agency that has firearms. And unfortunately, center mass is where you're most likely to get a hit, but unfortunately, that's where most of your vital organs are as well. So it's, you can, let's say, for instance, she did try and shoot this man's arm. Well, what ends up happening is when a bullet enters a body that has only a little space like that, it could go out
Right.
his arm and strike someone in the passenger seat. And that can happen. That has actually happened before, too.
Yeah.
You can have someone get shot in the stomach and it can come out their ass. So when you aim at someone's chest cavity, there is a lot of room for it to go, and it's least likely to actually come out, ricochet, and injure a passerby.
Yeah.
But
No, I know. I just thought it would be nice if, I mean, I don't know what the guy, if it's an older guy or anybody, you just go, he's probably got kids or something. I mean, it's so easy to sit back and watch these things and be the Monday morning quarterback the next day. But I just wish, maybe the gun wasn't as, maybe not give them such a powerful gun. And if you shoot them, the furthest it goes is 2 inches or whatever. And it doesn't, I mean, but let's face it, guns are designed to kill. They're not made to do anything else. That's what they're designed to do. But I think the person that is controlling that instrument of death maybe aim for the leg, and if it goes in an inch, I mean, if you get shot in the leg, you're gonna stop, unless you're on some serious drugs or whatever. It's just something where I just think there's so many of these. You watch these things, and it's always that one. You watch it, and you just think, fuck, man, did they really need to shoot him there? Like, why not just shoot his arm, his leg, and take him to the hospital, and then charge him for whatever you need to charge him for?
From what I understand, she actually had several items to use at her disposal, and one of them was a taser, a stun gun. And that's what I was curious about as to why she needlessly escalated the situation. Because in the military, you're actually taught, and one of the cool things about my base is that we actually help with this, is that we taught units to not escalate situations.
Right.
If you have a crowd of angry people, you just don't unload on them. I've seen that actually happen while being in the crowd, simulating angry, villagers in some, desolate Middle East town,
right,
where one of the soldiers, quote unquote, killed us because he was frightened.
Yeah, and, but I've heard that the American military is the best when it comes down to dealing with people. They are known throughout the world as, and I'm not saying this, I know this for a fact, that they are. Sam Harris did a great interview with an Army Ranger, a Navy SEALs guy, talking about how when they were there, the steps that they took, and they were so respected by villagers that absolutely loved the American soldiers because they knew that these guys weren't gonna just shoot like maniacs and hit kids and there were so many times when if there was somebody in a car that they had to get, that if there was somebody else in the car that they did not know, they would call off the attack because they did not want to kill an innocent person, and that's the steps that the U.S. took. I don't know why they can't incorporate that with the police force.
Hear me?
Yes.
Well, the issue is that both agencies supposedly have similar rules of engagement. Now, I'm not saying the rules of engagement for law enforcement, but the rules of engagement for military, if you're guarding, let's say, at a infantry control point, and there's a car barreling towards you that possibly has an IED, you're not full harassment. You will shoot the engine block.
Drag, I can barely hear you.
You will shoot the engine block, you will shoot the tire, you will not shoot the person.
Yeah.
There is a procedure that you must follow. If you don't, you will be reprimanded for it. You'll be stripped of your weapon, probably your rank as well. There's accountability to be had. The police forces, it seems, don't have that type of accountability. That's where the problem comes in, because they do have an escalation of force and a procedure that they must follow, and as well as corrections officers. But when you don't have people actually getting in trouble for breaking the procedure and breaking protocol, that's when things go to hell, because these officers know that they can do whatever they want, and they can act with impunity, and there's no consequences for it.
Yeah, I don't know because I would know I would be people behave differently when they're being taped. So she must have knew that there was a helicopter over her head taping her. I mean, there's also a dash cam, and I could have sworn somebody else said it's time to taser this person, taser time, and they didn't taser them. That's what, and I just thought, why not just fucking put whatever 1,000 volts through the person? And I mean, to kill, just to, I don't get that. That's the part that just really is a downer. I mean, once the guy's gone, he's gone. I don't get why. Maybe I'd be the biggest pussy cop on the planet, but I'm pretty sure I would shoot the guy in the arm or the leg. I don't know. I just don't see it as I really need to shoot and kill. I mean, I understand they're going for something in the car, but shoot him in the ass. Fuck. I mean, I don't know, and I just think it's just a tragic way of doing business.
Well, I
Well,
wonder how much of it, and maybe Drag can comment on it, because I'm not, by any means the use of firearms. I'm not an authority. I've never even shot a gun. So, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that when we train soldiers, we're training people who are, they're meant to perform in high stress situations. So they
Mm-hmm.
have high stress training, right? This is actually why, or one of the positive reasons why people in special forces tend to have a statistically lower rate of post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, I think, I don't know what goes into someone becoming a cop, but perhaps the problems that the police, they're just not training in the kind of stress that would merit someone who's using a gun, right? Because you don't
Yeah.
want to be sparing. Like I'm not a person who thinks that cops are inherently evil. I just think
Right.
that they're probably underprepared, and they can be assholes. And when you have unprepared assholes, I mean, look what happens sometimes.
Yeah, I think, Sam, that some people should not be police officers. I think it's an incredibly stressful job. I wouldn't want it. Dealing with, I mean, you're dealing with some pretty shitty things, but I I, th- I really think that I have I have two color friends that are police officers, so it kind of, it kind of, I talk to them about it, and they have a stressful job, but they're great guys, and I don't get, to me, I don't know why, and they look like police officers. I mean, these guys are 6'1". They look like when they get out of the car, it's authority time. I just don't get uh, why they hire people that should not be police officers. Clearly, there are, and you see it on YouTube, and you see these people, and you're just going, "Who hired you?" I mean, this is not. I get it. You're stressed out, and then you need to calm down or go talk to your chief or whatever you need to do. But to just shoot somebody and then be told that you're not going to get paid that week or however long, that pisses a lot of people off. Okay, that really does. I don't care how bad the person is. I don't care. This person was. I mean, I have no sympathy for child molesters or any of that shit. But if the law is there to bag them and put them in jail, not to bag him and put him in a plastic bag. There's, I mean, growing up, I've never seen this level of every other fucking day somebody gets nailed, and I just don't, to me, I'm like, who are we hiring here? I mean, like mentally, are these people unstable? Do you not understand that once you shoot somebody that you're going to kill them? Like it's, I, I mean, I'm just flabbergasted at the level of fucking stupidity that I get it. There were like the guy was walking. He was a badass dude. I get it. There was no joke. 5 cops pointed their gun at this guy. He's going nowhere. Okay, taser him, put him on the ground, put him in a bag, throw him in the truck, and get him to the shop. Whatever. I mean, to just to shoot the guy. And then you ask people right after, and they are furious. They're absolutely furious at what they've just seen. It's like, do you not understand? There's videotapes you can't hide. I mean, there's that Rodney King, the famous videotape of Rodney King. I don't care. You don't beat a guy like a fucking dog. You just don't. You're gonna kill him. You're gonna end up breaking the guy's skull open. There's got to be a way of teaching people that, no joke. 10 years ago, I saw this thing on TV about how to take people down, and they were coming out with the electronic gun, and they were coming out with this foam, and they were coming out with this thing that honestly, it looked like something out of the Ape movie, where the guy shoots a gun and this net comes around and it captures you. You can't go anywhere. Okay, like, why can't they implement these types of non-lethal instruments? I mean we've had the gun for so long that has done so much damage to cops and other people. Guns are militarily, they should just be military, and again, cops are going to use guns, but it's just, fuck, every day it's somebody's getting nailed, and it's not helping anybody. It's just making the world a shittier place.
I mean, I think, look, I mean, you're not going to find, I'm not a gun owner. I don't have any plans on owning a gun. But I mean, a lot of it comes down to, right, is like, I'm like you. Like, I think most cops are probably good people. They're probably, I mean, it's like anyone in any job, right? Like, for the most part, most people are just people who want to pay their bills and live on, right? Like, but the problem is, right, is that, whatever percentage of assholes, whether it's great, it's probably either a little bit greater or a little bit less with each job, right? With cops, when you have an asshole, you have a guy who has a gun who's an asshole,
Yeah.
who's probably not well trained enough to be handling that gun. I'm of the opinion that, listen, like, as a country, it is too easy for us to get, in principle, if we're all rational angels, we should all get guns. But I mean, I think it's clear that we can't handle that responsibility.
No, I mean, I can't handle a gun, Sam. I've had my gun license taken away simply by just threatening somebody that I was going to shoot them. Now, you could do that once or twice, but after the third time, they come to the door and they say, "Did you threaten to shoot that guy?" Yeah. Well, you take your license away. You can't. I mean, I'm a man child. I would be the worst, person to have a gun with me and dealing with people. You would think people that would hire you would say, you know what, don't hire him, especially with guns. He'd be great in a tank. Put him in a tank, okay? But cruising the streets, thinking he's Serpico 1972 is not going to happen, okay? Those days are gone. I just think, I don't know. To me, it's just it's a shame. It's a complete and utter shame. It's not going to help anybody. And I think there needs to be a new hiring, a way of hiring people, and a way of retraining. Just to, don't kill. Just, I mean, there was some blonde girl. She got shot. I think she was 19 or 20 years old a couple of weeks ago. As an idiot she was, she had a fake gun. The police don't know, but she went and pointed it to the police. Now, if you want to check out from this planet, that is the way to go. If you want to die, sure. But she blatantly pointed it at the police. I get that. They don't know if the gun is loaded. Now, but if you're just walking away like you're stoned or something, shoot the guy, tackle him on the floor, punch him in the face, whatever it takes. Don't kill the guy, So anyways, sorry about that. It's just something that I just thought was, when you were talking about, taking people down. Drag is military. You're not, and your style, even though it's the same techniques, same martial arts, you're taught very different ways to use them. Drag was taught when you get a guy, you kill him. Well, not like that, but militarily, you're told, this is what we do, and you are told, Sam, that in competition, we don't kill. You win on points. You win on technique. But it's the same type of game you guys are playing. That I think that police forces should look at these things and say there's got to be a different way to deal with people. You know what I mean? Like a different way of
Well, I think they need to focus more on the non-lethal because they have bean bags, they have tasers, they have all kinds of
yeah.
non-lethal forms of engaging a suspect. But for some strange reason, from what little I know about the situation, woman said she was scared,
All right, then
and
she shouldn't be a police officer.
that was my first response. But I had to sit back and say, okay, maybe she has not discharged her weapon as much as she should.
Oh,
Okay,
fuck.
someone she thinks is hostile. I'm not sure what she used to assess the situation, but whatever the escalation of force protocol that she's been taught dictates, I guarantee you, he did not fit the escalation that the escalation of force that she applied. Because if I'm legitimately scared that someone has a weapon, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've seen the video where she shot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, did she take cover behind her vehicle before she shot him?
No, she shot him point blank. That's what really bothers me.
Okay, that's what the issue is. Because if it's been a while, he was turning around, I believe, to get something out the car,
Right.
and so I think it was his wallet or his registration or something.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure.
I know. But Drag, there were 5 cops around him. This guy wasn't going anywhere. Just
And,
fucking
and yet,
tackle him.
that's the thing. If you think that he is going for his gun, and there are other people around you who have the situation secured, why are you scared?
Yes.
Legitimately scared for your life. I tell you, the first thing that I do, that I've been trained to do, if someone's firing on me, or I think they're going for something, I take cover. You don't fire from a position out in the open. You never do that. There's no situation where you stand face to face in a direct line with no obstacles with someone that you're trying to engage with a firearm. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I legitimately believe that she was just quote unquote scared and was reacting to that
And I
because
think she's destroying the. I mean, I guarantee other police officers looked at that and thought, "Why are you so stupid? Why would you shoot the guy?" Like if I was a police officer, I would just say, "Why? Like, there's fucking 5 of us there. Oh, okay, tackle him. Like, is he going for something in the car? Kick him in the balls. Whatever you need to do." I don't need. He's going nowhere. God, there's a fucking chopper in the air. He's going nowhere. Okay, the car won't start. That's the call that we got. Car won't start, so he's going anywhere. I don't know what you're getting in the car. Could have been a gun, but before you even reached in there, I guarantee you, I would have had you on the floor. I would have had my you know electric gun out and just shot you in the ass, and that's it, and done. And people could say, "What an asshole! He shot him in the ass." But I could care less. It's either that or, you got some dumb blonde cop that just she's 5'3", has no business of being a police officer. I don't know. It's mind boggling. It's very. And I'm not into race baiting. I'm not into, all this shit. But it's just when you see stuff like that, it's so hard to, you just sit there and go, yeah, I believe cops are good. Yes, they are good, but they should really watch who they hire because you're dealing with people's lives. You can't just shoot a guy in cold blood and leave him there on the ground like that. It's just, I don't care if you are the law. You can't do that. This isn't communist fucking Russia. You can't just, there's ways. I don't get why they didn't beanbag him or tackle him. No one wanted to get their hands dirty. I don't understand. It's just shoot him in the ass. Again, it's just, I think they hire the wrong people to do these jobs.
I think it's just all of the above, right? It's how do you deal? I don't think that it's again. I'm not privy to their training procedures, but I would guess that they're not doing the type of high stress training that you need to reliably operate a gun, right? They're not training with the expectation of I'm going to shoot someone, and you kind of have to do that. That's why
Yeah, but Sam,
whenever I hear I mean, this is why I kind of laugh to myself whenever I hear some guy who's just the hugest pussy ever say, "Oh, I'm going to buy a gun." I'm like, "Well, you're a huge pussy. You're not going to know how to use that gun.
right.
That's the issue, right?" And I think it's a gross problem with like how
Mm-hmm.
cops are taught to handle guns. And you're absolutely correct. Like, why can't we use a bean? Why can't the default be a beanbag
Yeah.
round
Yeah,
where
believe me, get one of those in the back. Jesus, you will drop like a sack of shit. You know, I mean, fuck, they have these weapons out there. You should have seen this show. They had these weapons that they were purposely made not to kill a person, but put them down. They had this foam that you shoot, and when it goes on the person, the more they fight, the worse. It's like that foam. You ever see the Incredible Hulk, the movie where they put that foam on him? You ever see that one where they tried to? Anyways, it was this kind of foam. Honestly, looked like something out of Ghostbusters. You put foam on the guy. He's not going anywhere. Why can't they implement that? I mean, is it the cost? Does it cost more to deal with the death of somebody? Is it cheaper that the kids are going to grow up fucked up? End up hating police. Do you think they're gonna? Do you think that is a cheaper way of just if it killing somebody, or just using a 99-cent beanbag to the back of the head, and that's it. End of story. Dad got arrested. I remember 20 years ago, he got arrested. Instead of, hey, remember when Dad was shot fucking cold blooded by some dumb broad that should not be a police officer? Do you remember that? Yeah, that was wonderful, wasn't it? I mean, they've got to look at these things and say we're doing things the wrong way. We're not helping anybody. And you go to these communities, and guess what? The number one enemy is police. When I was a kid growing up, you were told to go to the police. You lose something or whatever, go to the police. In these communities, you see they see stuff like this, and they're like, you know what? Guess who's the enemy here? They think the enemy is the police when you do stupid shit like that. And it's not stupid. You've just killed a person. It's they're stupid. Stupid is cutting off somebody. Stupid is Ronnie. Okay. Stupid is just dropping your cigarette between your legs while you're driving. Okay, and burn your balls. That's stupid. Killing somebody is another level of just there's no word once you kill somebody. Okay, so I don't get why they would give her a gun and say like we've all worked with somebody. Sam, you've worked with somebody or you've gone to a bar with somebody and a fight breaks out, and you've got a buddy standing there beside you saying, "All right, let's fight," and then you got another buddy who's under the table. Okay, who was made to deal with battle, and if you're going to be a police officer and in the military, you're going to have to you're going to have to be a warrior. If you're not a warrior, then do something else. Okay, there's nothing wrong with doing something else. Okay, I don't get what's the deal of I've got to do this. I've got to prove that I could do this. I don't care who you are. If you could prove that you could do it and keep cool about it, like you were saying with military people and they've checked some military guys, their blood pressure goes down in battle. I mean, they literally calm down. Those are the people that you want. People that when the shit hits the fan, that they don't go from, panic mode and go absolutely crazy and do something idiotic. You want a person that will calm. I mean, of course it's a tense situation, but you want a person that can deal with this stuff. You don't want some incompetent blonde I don't know. It's mind-boggling. So when you prepare for fights, when you prepare for them, what do you eat and how do you get ready for them, Sam? Like for
well,
the competitions. The tournament,
Well,
sorry.
I mean, if I'm training hard, I kind of have to eat. I'm at a point where like I kind of have to eat clean because I'm just trying to maximize my recovery. I don't want to waste time, with sort of the inflammation and the crap. Like it just takes a while. Like some stuff just sticks in my stomach, and I don't want to be sick.
Right.
My big problem is I actually don't really eat enough sometimes.
Yeah, you're very skinny.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because for me, like I'm one of those people where I can kind of sit on a couch for 2 weeks, and if I just eat healthy, I have a six pack. It's
Really?
just sort of, yeah. I mean, I get that from my mom's side, where it's just genetically, it's a little bit freakish, but
You have a really good metabolism.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not as fast as it used to be, but it's pretty much there still. And I mean, the big thing is, I'm just focusing. Okay, what am I going to do? Making sure I'm hydrated and everything. And it's really basic. Just eat good food. And I'm not really cutting as much weight anymore. I'm moving up in weight class, so that's really makes it easy to make weight. And I'm just concentrated, on amping myself up.
You know when
I've
you
been
you
kind of
make weight,
mentally training
you know
training myself.
you know when
Yeah,
you
go
make
ahead.
weight, how do you like what weight class do you fight at?
I'm moving up to lightweight, which is about 167 pounds, I want to say,
Okay.
with the kimono on.
Does
And I was fighting at featherweight, which is 154.5.
Okay, so and how tall are you?
I'm about 5'9".
Okay, so yeah, that is a good size. That's a healthy size. You don't have a problem uh like do you like junk food?
I do, but I mean, I don't. I mean, for me, it's just sort of the way that I treat it is like I don't. I just don't eat that. I don't drink soda, which I guess makes me weird. I don't like it. And I mean, I eat a little bit of junk food like anyone else, but not really too much, honestly.
Well, you're lucky, dude. When you hit 40, it just something happens where you have one cookie and your left cheek just explodes. You just honestly, you do. You fall apart. I mean, I've got we went in, the kids were like, let's go get haircuts. And Aunt Donna was like dyeing everybody's hair. And they ended up dyeing my hair. And like, what happened is my hair is so thin now, I ended up dyeing my skull green. So it's disgusting. It's just everything about like, you can't eat. You can't, like, I look at guys today and I just think how you make weight is incredible. I saw a video of Rampage Jackson. He was trying to eat a muffin, and his trainer smacked the muffin out of his hand in the middle of the interview. And I thought, man, if you want to die, that is a good way of getting yourself killed. And the trainer just yelled at him and said, "You got to make weight for the fight." So you don't you have your own mind telling you, Sam, don't eat this giant ham. Don't you're gonna get bloated. This is not the good. If you have, you have mental control where, fuck, I don't know how guys do that, especially with the junk food that's out there.
Well, I mean, I think like it's just habits, right? For me, it's just sort of that's how I eat. People ask me if I go on a diet, and I really don't. My diet does not really change, and that's really the thing. It's about consistency. I mean, I think if you're a professional fighter, you should hire a nutritionist, and just take all of that. The key thing is, I say for me to stick to anything, the key thing is I kind of remove any element of choice from it, right? Like I already have predetermined meals. I prepare rather than one meal at a time, other than my breakfast, which is still the same every single day,
What do you
pretty
eat for
much.
breakfast?
Depends how I feel. Like this morning, I felt a little bit drained, so I had 3 eggs, half an avocado, and a protein shake. And the protein shake has a scoop of protein, cup of water, cup of almond milk, some ice, and a banana.
Yeah, if you ever
And
want to get
some
depressed, drink a cup of almond milk. If you ever want to just break down and cry, drink that. Watching Sanford and Son like I do. I tried that. I honestly tried to do that, and it's heartbreaking. And it doesn't. Your body doesn't fight it because my mouth will shut. They'll say, "No, you want Maltesers. You want a bear claw." You're
Well,
like you're like, "Nope, that's fine. I'll eat that. No problem."
I mean, yeah, I mean, well, the protein powder tastes very good, and especially in combination with the banana. So
The,
I'm fine,
You're
but
lucky. You're lucky because the protein powder. I tried to take the protein powder, and I nearly shit my pants on stage because for some people, and I talked to the guy at the store about it. I said, whenever I fart, it smells like death, like literally. And he goes, it's the protein shakes, and I go, I get the shit sweats. They're absolutely horrendous, and I had to jump off stage and run to the bathroom because I farted and literally nearly shit myself on stage because of the protein shakes.
yeah, yeah. I don't know what to say. I mean, I think you just got to kind of find what works for you. Like, I think like the biggest, I mean, they found that really the biggest determinant of the success of any diet is compliance, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
able to comply to it, that's why like vegan diets are considered notoriously ineffective because who the fuck can hold to eating no animal products?
Yes,
Um,
that's right. That's what vegans are. They don't even eat eggs, right?
no eggs, no milk, no dairy. You actually can't have honey
Well, you can't.
because
Oh,
it comes from bees.
right.
It's there are a lot of thorny issues to that, but yeah, I mean, I think it just kind of depends on having good habits. Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
I like eating good food as well. I
Right,
mean,
right.
but the thing is like my treat food, for instance, is sushi, which
Oh,
is
I love
relatively
sushi. Yeah,
healthy.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like
yeah.
for me, I don't really like sweets very much. Like I like chocolate, but I don't really like like candy per
Right.
se. Like if I'm going to get a candy bar, it's probably going to be some sort of chocolate, which is not as bad as let's say something that's just packed with tons and tons of refined sugar, like
Mm-hmm.
Skittles, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of it's like my taste buds, which I wonder how much of it's been trained. Like I've just been doing it for a few years, so for me, I mean, it's just my, you also got to think, it's sort of you intellectualize it, like, I treat it the same as alcohol, right? Like, okay, I can house this 6 pack of, delicious, a delicious IPA, or I can feel good in the morning,
Right.
and so you just have to make those decisions. It's not to say, right, I'm not one of these people like I would never demonize someone for making a choice because, fuck, we all make choices. I'm a like the idea that what I do for physical activity is completely healthy is bonkers. I mean, my joints are, they suffer for it, and sometimes my sanity suffers for it. But
How many
it's all
sit-ups
about
can you
making.
do? I remember once. Did you put down you did 500 sit-ups in one day? I could have sworn I saw something that you put down that you did 500 in one day sit-ups.
I haven't counted the number of sit-ups. Like, I mean, if we do sit-ups, it's usually actually after class. So I'm
Right.
usually pretty exhausted. So like last night we did, I think something like 50, and then we did planks, but that was after, 6 rounds or excuse me, 7 rounds of sparring. So
Fuck, I get
I
exhausted
don't know how
watching
many
people
I can
doing
do.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I lifted yesterday. I mean, I could give you more objective numbers on how much I can lift, but in terms of sit-ups, I don't know. I haven't had any sort of regimen with that in years.
And drag, you look like a big person. Do you work out a lot?
I haven't worked out since I got out. Honestly, I've been just kind of gaining weight and playing my Xbox. I and people don't believe me when I tell them what I used to do, and they kind of understand why I stopped working out. It's honestly partially due to my knees. I have not even 30 years old, and I have a torn meniscus. I have arthritis in both knees, and I'm in quite a bit of pain every day.
Is that
So
from the military?
yes, and it's from my workout. What I used to do,
Oh,
I would do intermittent fasting, and so I would only allot myself probably 3,600 calories a day, and I would only eat for 1 hour every 24 hours. Combine that with my morning PT in the morning for about 6:30 to 7:30, and then during lunch we get an hour and a half lunch. So for the first hour, I would go to the gym and then do a mini workout. I'd run my warm up mile, and then probably work on uh, arms or legs, depending on what day it was. And then after I got home, I would work out with my family, and I'd go for a jog slash walk around our neighborhood, which is probably 6.5 to 7 miles.
Were
And I
you a
did
like were you being a bodybuilder?
No, I was trying to get promoted.
Oh, okay.
I have to put yourself in a position. So I dropped a tremendous amount of weight in a 20 months.
Yeah,
Like
you look like a big guy with the ZZ Top beard. He even looks even scarier. It's nice though. You like fishing, which I love too. You Sam, do you like fish?
Eating it, or I mean, I
Catching
haven't
it,
gone fishing. I haven't
both.
gone fishing since I was like 9 years old. So I don't.
Oh God.
I think I'd probably like it, but I just haven't. I haven't gone. But I love eating fish. I love fish.
Right, right.
So
Well, Sam, Drago always captures catfish. I've never had catfish because they just anything with skin just kind of always they have skin catfish, and it's just they got that weird looking beard, and I don't know. Are they good, Drag?
they're delicious. That part of being from Louisiana is enjoying catfish. That's kind of one of our hallmarks as far as cuisine goes. And so I find the sport of catfishing very fun because they do give you a bit of a fight. Sometimes, depending, they're very very lazy, very greedy, but very lazy. But the barbels on their face are pretty funny because it actually helps them
Yeah,
navigate. Like, right? Uh, thanks, G-Man. But no, the barbels on the face are for there is some type of sensory organs at the end of them that help them locate food.
yeah.
And so what I do is I put a lot of weight on my line, about almost around 8 ounces, and so that allows my bait to sink to the bottom because they are typically bottom feeders,
Right.
and so they'll just hail the bait entirely. And so, unfortunately, yes, they are. They're not scaly. They have skin and they have a slime on that skin that is very difficult to get off if you don't freeze them first. But if you freeze it just slops off. So,
Did you
yeah,
ever? Do
it
you
is.
ever hear of noodling?
Yes, and I knew a couple of people who did noodle.
See, I would never do that.
I
I
wouldn't either.
just could not. Sam, do you know what noodling is?
I have no idea what that is, but it sounds disgusting.
It is like it. Think about going in water. You can't see anything in the water, but sticking your hands in any crevice, hole, and feeling for because when catfish, they live in holes or in the banks, and you or a log or whatever. Now stick your hand where you don't know where it is. These guys don't wear gloves. You don't wear gloves. You use your bare hands, and if you feel a catfish, and some of these catfish can be, God, some of them are like 3 feet to 4 feet. Some of them can be weighing 40 to 50 pounds with a mouth as big as your head. So it's supposed to bite you. When it bites your hand, you grab it, okay, and it's called noodling, and you bring up this catfish that is essentially trying to eat your hand. But it's the whole concept of being in the water, just walking around, bumbling around, touching everything with your feet, your hands, to look for like in my head, I'm thinking you're gonna find a fucking dead person. You know, I mean, it's creepy. I don't get that.
Well, it's kind of this is the rite of passage for a lot of guys. It's like, oh, you're not a real cat fisherman from Louisiana unless you go noodling. It's kind
Yeah.
of one of those. But what people don't also account for is that snapping turtles tend to live
Yes.
in
Yes.
this
Yes.
catfish. So you don't know what you're sticking your hand into, and that's probably the aspect that I look at and go, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Fuck that. Have you ever seen a snapping turtle? I mean, they are a nasty piece of work. I had one come up at the bank. He had so much shit on his face. He looked like Looked like one of the Beatles with the haircut. He couldn't see shit, and he came up and he couldn't even see me sitting there, and I had to back up because they got those chompers on it. It looks like a parrot on steroids. Literally, the beak of this thing just looks like it take your hand off. Yeah, I would not want to stick my hand looking for fish and shit like that. And if it's rite of passage, I would just say fuck off. Like, I'm not gonna get my hands taken off. Like I want to whistle. I need my fingers to whistle, boys. You know, nah, not my thing. So, and for people that don't know, I don't even know Drag knows, but even Sam, even me, the password for today, we're giving away a Kimmy Kaboom, all access for 30 days. You could see her and like 70 of her friends. It's like a cam show. You see everything. I'm not lying. Like you really do. You see, honestly, and she won 2-time best titties on the planet. So the secret word for today is Ronnie. And what is it? Rocket Ronnie is wrong. If you message me, let me know. You'll enter to win, and this isn't a lie. And this is to, if Rocket Ronnie does listen to this, this is not to make fun of you. This is to humiliate you, to make you feel like a tool. That's the point of that. So, again, let me know. You could see Kimmy Kaboom, and it's Rocket Ronnie is wrong. You guys have battled. One of my favorite things, and I told Sam this the other day, I watched Drag go up against Ronnie for about 2 hours. I rarely do that because I need to cut the grass and eat and do stuff. But I remember it was about maybe 1 in the morning. And for people that don't know who Ronnie is, how would you describe Ronnie?
Um,
Basement dwelling.
he is God. It's hard to describe.
I
how
know, I
ignorant.
know.
It's like
He's
that.
like if Donald Trump thought he knew about biology.
Yeah, but he doesn't know biology, does he?
No, I'm confident that what he does is he looks on Wikipedia for a bunch of terms,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just memorizes a string of terms and just says them. Like that's what I'm convinced he does, just based on kind of his sentence structure. I don't know if Drag shares the same opinion, but
Yeah,
that
what do you
seems.
think, Drag? Do you think that's what he does?
Well, he does because, and I'll tell you a short story. For old on YouTube, you remember a guy named Suzuki Das. Suzuki Das and Ronnie used to go back and forth, and there was some exchange between Suzuki Das and Ronnie. It's when I first realized that when Suzuki Das would accidentally cut him off because he thought that that pause meant that he was done, Ronnie would get upset. But instead of picking up where he left off, he had to start his whole spiel over again. He has lines memorized. He has not necessarily cards, but he has notes. And there was a series of videos where I saw him reading off the notes, and then he was upset that I pointed it out. And so from there, he's been on this kick where if he thinks that you're reading off something, then he'll try and I guess expose someone for doing that. Which I mean, if that's what he needs to do, then fine. But his game is sophistry. He really doesn't have a comprehensive understanding of science.
Yeah, to me, yeah, I've seen him do that with. He tried to do that with Aaron Ra, where Aaron Ra, once he goes into a spiel, you could tell when somebody is reading something because remember when Ra, and even you've done it, and Sam has debated him a few times, where he says, no, 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 let me finish, because he needs to say, and for people that don't know who Rocket Ronnie is, he is a YouTuber who thinks he knows the human cell. He is a theist. He does he not believe in? He's not a flat earther. He believes that he doesn't believe in evolution, right?
Well, that's the big. He accepts certain tenets. Um, I would say natural selection. I would say that he accepts, but when it comes to like common descent, common ancestry, no, I don't think he actually accepts that at all. Because he is convinced that his whatever deity that he's, that we all know that he prays to, uh, made everything specifically the way that it is now, and that it just so happens to change at whatever given point. So his beliefs, they kind of meander in and out of the realm of actual science.
Right. And for those that don't know, I'm talking to Science Sam and Dragnauct Selvis. These two gentlemen do know the science behind it. I believe Drag is. Did you not just graduate?
No, I'm actually still an undergrad student now. I've upgraded to tutor, but that's about it. I've been tested on the subject of evolution, so I understand it sufficiently enough just to teach it to someone else. But Sam has acquired an education much greater than mine, so he would probably be the best person to speak to on the subject.
Yeah, Sam. Tell me what is the subject that you are the you've got a degree in.
So my undergraduate degree was in biology and computer science. I was a double major, and I did my master's, which was basically a fifth-year extension. It was a pretty cool program at my university where I got granted a fifth year based on a research application. So my research, as both an undergraduate and a grad student, was on how to identify proteins in the cell on a genome-wide basis in yeast. And then more recently, I'm doing my PhD in bioinformatics and systems biology, which is basically just applied computer science and data analysis to biology. And my research focuses on what's known as evolutionary systems biology. So I'm really interested in how gene function evolves over time.
Right. So
and how to compare genes.
Shitload of stuff.
I know what I need to know.
Right.
I'll say that much. It's hard to.
Does that freak you out when, I mean, that, I always wondered why. I always think, he's picking on poor Ronnie. But he makes such blatant, horrible analogy. Like, just, and what's scary is some people do believe Ronnie. And then you or Drag will try and, I mean, I've even seen you try and help the guy. And he just does not want your help. It's kind of like, nope, I want to be completely, it's like, have you ever been in a car with somebody and you're telling them you're going the wrong way? And they just go, nah, fuck it. It's like dad driving or something. No, I know where I'm going. And he just, you're going out in the boonies and you're lost. Why can't you just pull over and say, can you tell me the way home? And Ronnie does not want to do that. He just wants to, I don't know, make up stuff. And the thing that bothers me the most about him is when people do debate him, he's an incredibly rude bastard.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that irritates me about him, and the reason I don't cut him much slack, is because he tries to pretend he's an authority. I mean, I think I've said this many times. My issue with him has more to do with the fact that he pretends like he really, he knows so much more than all of these people, and then everyone else is an idiot, right? When, okay, you can be self-educated on something, but that's not really an excuse for, being self-educated. You don't get as much rope, right? Because you haven't yourself.
Well, don't you think his behavior would? I mean,
also
his behavior would get you kicked out of class. I mean, any Drag, would you not get kicked out of class if you behave like that?
Yeah, I mean, if you can disagree with an instructor, because I have before. I have actually on several occasions I've disagreed with him, but the way that he goes about it is just completely crass, to say the least. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't seem to have this like introspection ability that everyone else has, where, well, you know what, maybe I should have handled that situation a bit differently. It's just absent. I don't know what the hell's wrong with him. Like, he would not survive in an academic arena. He just can't.
Yeah, and I think that, and I've said it before, I think he's not, not playing with a full deck. Which, whatever, everybody says I'm being mean, but I really do believe that. I think the guy is, when you get so many people telling you that you're wrong, What I don't like is if you're putting misinformation out there, that bothers me. Because if you apply what he's saying, you could make yourself look like a fucking idiot. And I believe somebody did, Sam. Did they not uh, think that Ronnie was right and you had to correct them? And then they came back. They didn't believe you, and then they did not come back. They stopped coming back once you corrected them. Was that you or Drag?
I think it was a different. You're thinking of a different person who I was interacting with. It was this guy, and here's the thing that tends to irritate me is right. If you the thing that irritates me is when you put on the facade of understanding science and then you misrepresent it. So there's this guy Ice who he would make a video every so often, and when he first started, he made a video and it was really terrible. And I just read through the articles. I go, these articles don't say what you say they do. And it was just blatantly clear he hadn't read the articles.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, well, I don't have access behind a paywall. I go, well, don't cite things you didn't read. And then the next time, I got him to admit on air he didn't read what he was talking about. And then, he made another video, and I pointed out, look, you didn't go to the relevant reference. Like, you cite all of these papers, but you don't actually formulate an argument. You don't actually go to the relevant citations. So the issue that I have with that type of behavior is that, okay, if you're going to you can't pretend like you're appealing to some sort of popular level, some sort of common level of understanding on a topic. It's just dishonest in my mind. And I think that kind of dishonesty needs to be, because for me, I could just say, fuck off. Like, I already know that this prison's full of shit, but, does everyone else know? Does that allow them to make an informed decision? And that's kind of how I see it. Like, I don't entertain the delusion. Like you said, a lot of these people are just not, let's be honest, they're not the brightest, they're not the brightest.
But they're also he's very dishonest. I get it. If you're not the brightest, I'm not the brightest, okay? And everybody knows that. But if I'm going to argue with you about something that you have a degree in, and even if Drag doesn't have a degree in it, it doesn't matter. I could easily, what you say, I could write it down, okay? And then I could look it up for myself. And if you are wrong, I'll let you know. I'll say, by the way, Sam, this is what it said. And then you could say, yes, but you don't understand that. You know what I mean? Like, this is what it really meant. That is a way I always thought that is a great way to learn. It really is. I mean, you could sit there and disagree with somebody, but it's a great way to learn.
That's exactly how I learned. Like, I make mistakes. I learn. I still remember years ago when I first began a serious interest in science on YouTube. I was engaging with Fiona, and I called DNA a protein. And like that, now I look back, that's fucking stupid. But at the time, I didn't have a lot of knowledge, and she corrected me recently. I was having a conversation with Tommy, and I mistakenly said that only RNA interacts in the nucleolus, which is not true. They have other, they have ligands, cell signals that actually interact with the nucleolus, and there are receptors on that. And Sam and Steve actually corrected me on that. And so that's the kind of interaction that Ronnie fears. Because for some reason, he thinks that takes away from him or something.
I don't know. Sure. It's weird, Drake, because I've never seen you or Sam be like mean, start off a conversation with him, like spiteful or mean, or I've seen it get mean after. Like, it was funny because I remember it was about, you were talking to him for 2 hours and you finally just said, you're like, I fell off the chair. You said something like, he's like, what's going on? What's wrong? And you're like, well, it's been 2 hours. I've been talking to an idiot for 2 fucking hours. That's what's wrong. And it's true. It's like for 2 hours you were trying to be gentleman, like you were trying to be as nice as possible, and it was like talking to a wall. Well,
the issue is I mean, I think I remember, and he goes, well, how did this evolve? And I go, did you ever even search it? Because I just got a figure from, the most well-known molecular biology textbook in my first Google search, right? And you just go, and he goes, no. And I go, well, isn't that dishonest, right? To go to a conversation where you're trying to argue against a position, you need to actually do your homework. And when
Right.
I asked him, how do you learn about these things? He said, "Oh, I don't read anything other than G plus." And I
That's
was
no
That's
good.
amazed. Right.
That's
that's
no
terrible. I
good.
mean, Spoken, same thing. Because I recently had a conversation with Spoken, and he asked me this really weird question. I think Sam, you were talking to me about it yesterday, where he wanted to like know the evolutionary path of an elephant or some shit like that. Like it was, I, I, I don't know why, but it took me all of 2 seconds. As I was talking to him, explaining to him how evolution works, I was googling exactly what the evolutionary path was, and I just read it off. Like, and I asked him, "Did you even try to look it up?" No. Well, then why are you asking me that?
Yeah, I've
Because you
I've
haven't.
dealt with spoken, and it's like dealing with a mentally challenged person.
Well, the thing about Spoken, and I will say, like, he's a pretty nice guy actually, and he's not stupid. It's just that he plays dumb. There's a big difference. Like with G-Man, I know G-Man's a moron. I know Ronnie's a moron. I know Tommy Hall's a moron. I don't think Spoken's a moron, but he will play dumb because
You think
he
so?
knows that. Yeah, yeah, I think so. Because I
Be-
think he plays dumb because and I'm guessing this is subconscious, and this is just my guess, but he's playing dumb because that way he doesn't actually have to learn anything. It's the same thing, like Veckel does the exact same thing. I was talking to Drag about this, and we were going to call it like the Veckel fallacy, which is you just say, oh, I'm a layman, I don't know about these things. And so they
Mhm.
won't argue with you, they'll just disagree because it goes again without even thinking, right?
Well, yeah. With G-Man, I did an interview with him, and before I forget, you sound Sam, you sound like JJ sometimes. Your voice, your tone is like JJ. You sound like JJ sometimes. You know who JJ is?
Jungle jargon.
Yeah, I think so. You kind of sound like him.
No, JJ Get. He's talking about JJ Get.
Oh,
He
I was
he.
like, I don't sound like I'm
He's
perpetually
a
stoned.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
he has like a
JJ.
Star Trek guy. He has like
Yeah, he.
you know who I'm talking
But
about?
yeah, he's an atheist. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You have the same tone as he does. It's very, it's weird because I've talked to JJ a few times, and I always feel like I'm talking to Sam because it's just the same type of tone. With G Man, I did an interview with him, and G Man, I told him, listen, I don't want to, because me and him had a brutal, and we had a brutal fight, and I just said to him, listen, I don't want to, we're not going to talk about religion, and we're not going to talk about I got you moment. It's going to be none of that. It's just a hangout. And it was a great conversation. I love old time wrestling. He loves old time wrestling. And what I got out of G Man was he tried out for WCW. And if you don't know what WCW is, it used to be it's a defunct wrestling alliance. It would be like the WWE of today. And it was really big back in the 90s. And G Man, if G Man were to put maybe 50 pounds, if he had drag size and put more muscle tone on it, and the mouth that G Man has, and the way he uses it, he'd be the top heel. And in wrestling, a heel is a bad guy. He'd be the top heel of the company, guaranteed. He would have people that absolutely despise him, okay? And people that absolutely love him. And there are people out there that really love him. There are people that absolutely despise him. To me, G-Man is this actor that he knows how to push buttons to get you annoyed, to get you. I mean, when he comes on a hangout, it's like all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, here we go," and he knows that he's going to say something to piss somebody off. They're going to go at it, and it's going to be World War III. So I never really take G-Man as as serious as some do, because I know what once I heard that, I just said, this is a guy that knows how to kind of piss people off at a pro level. Do you understand?
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, the thing is like I don't take him seriously at all. It's that's why he's an object of mockery. He's not an object of you know. any sort of,
But
it's the same thing.
doesn't it freak you out where you could have a really nice conversation, and for some reason, if we bring God into the convo, it depends if all of a sudden, that just all of a sudden we go to sides. You're either the good guy, bad guy, whatever. All of a sudden there's a battle.
Oh, I didn't know I was reading shit. No, that's how it is with G. If you actually talk to G-Man offline, he was a normal person.
Yes,
And
very
I
much
learned
so.
really, like early on, I learned like when he doesn't have an audience, he talked like a regular person. He's calm. When you turn that camera, he turns into fucking Super Beast 3000, and he
Exactly.
needs to film the show, and he needs to provide entertainment, and it really make I see it now. I see him trying out for the WCW. I was a fan back in the time, a real big fan. I even went to a match in the Superdome years
Right.
ago.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean that it was great, but it was a show, and so I can definitely see him trying to fill in that role, trying to still live out that goal that he once had, just online.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that helps me understand him. He's still a fucking douche, and I still will call him an idiot, probably to the day I die. But it's just sad that he needs to go to these links to get attention because I could be up his ass all the time, but I'd rather just sit back and make fun of him because he is a funny motherfucker. Like everything about him just amuses the shit out of me.
Drag, I could see you guys honestly, I could see you two wrestle, and I honestly could see you guys like just battle. It would be an incredibly entertaining event watching you two go at it in a match. Yeah, again, if G-Man were to put some meat on him, the way he talks into a microphone, he just knows what to say, how to piss you off, and I think people would just go, I hate him so much that I want to see him get hurt. He's one of those people. I want to see him get hurt. I'll pay.
I'll have an admission though. I have problems with guys like Sam size and G-Man size. Guys who are smaller than me like that. I have a real hard time trying to get them. And there was a guy in my unit. I'm trying to pronounce his name correctly. We called him, and yes, I'm going to make a racial slur. We called him Nigga Jet Skis. He had a really Jewish name, and so no one could pronounce it. So I brought him when he came to the unit. I said, "Hey, first sergeant, this is Nigga Jet Skis," and he said, "What? What is your name, Private?" And so they started grilling him. And I brought all the other, black sergeants in. And I said, "Hey, sergeant, this dude's name is Nigga Jet Skis." And so we fucked with him for like half an hour, and then told me to walk to the unit. But I wrestled him, like his first week there, because he challenged me. He said, "Hey, doc, I want to wrestle you." I said, "All right, let's go." And it took me for fucking ever because he was just so slippery, so wiry,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew, even though he was somewhat untrained, he had technique. He had the know-how to not allow me to use my weights to pin him. But eventually, I was able to wear him down to the point that I did get it. But I really, really hate wrestling guys that size.
Yeah, but to me that's cool though. I think you got Sam. If somebody could use if you're not as big as your opponent, and you could kind of wear out your bigger opponent, that to me is you've got a bit of smarts.
Well, it's one of those things where what I will say is that how do I describe this? Well, it's about styles, right? So certain guys, they have styles where it just, when they move up in weight and they face heavier guys, it's just lethal because they're based on their speed. So in grappling, a guy like that would be Leandro Lowe. He's just so fucking fast that like he has won he's won 5 world championships in a row at 4 different weight classes, but he's also probably getting some supplemental help in moving up in weight class. I'm not making any
Right.
any allegations. I'm just saying I would not be surprised if he popped positive for
Right.
a test.
A Brock Lesnar move.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't pass the eyeball test. I'll just put it that way.
I know, and isn't that hilarious when they sit there and go, "Do you know Brock Lesnar? Do you know that he was on steroids?" And you're
I
like,
think that
what? Really?
yeah,
What?
Do you know?
you
Do you
need to
know
get
that? Do you
sterilized
know that
if you.
Do you know that the Concorde used to fly?
Yeah, yeah. It's like really the guy that looks like a shaved albino
Jesus
gorilla.
Christ! Like, give me
Like,
a fucking break. Do you know the sun gives off heat?
yeah, does the sun radiate heat?
Well,
Jesus
see, here's
Christ,
one
Brock.
I was, what's his name? John Goldberg. Now, I looked at him. I was like, you know what? A guy that size, he has a believable size. Now, I've never been able to determine whether or not if he was juicing, because if he was, I would genuinely be surprised.
No, he's on it too, for sure. I think so.
Yeah.
I
And so,
totally think so. Look at the size of Goldberg. These guys, have you ever seen them live, Drag?
no, I haven't seen him live.
I'm going to the Comic Con this weekend. I'm going to see Kevin Nash. Now, of course, he is not. He's been out of it. You're talking about a man that's almost 7 feet. When you see these guys live, you see Goldberg or any of these dudes. What you see on TV times it by 3. These men are humongous. Absolutely humongous. That Rayback guy. I mean, that guy looks like a cookie cutter. He looks like a muscle on top of a muscle. You know, it's. How is he not caught on the juice? I don't know. Somebody must piss in a cup for him because you don't get that big by eating shreddies and sushi. There's no way. There is no way. So yeah, Goldberg. Yeah, like he used to be a professional football player, was he not?
I think so, actually. I want to say, yeah, I want to say he was.
I believe I wouldn't put again, he's nowhere near the size that he once was. I mean, when he was at WCW, he was picking up men of 300-pound men that like little. It looked like sacks of flour. He was throwing them around the ring. I mean, he just the guy just looked unstoppable. I mean, look at Ultimate Warrior. Remember him? And people are like, he died, and you're like, oh, geez, he had veins the size of garden hoses in his arms.
Oh yeah, Ultimate Warrior was fun. Just kind of, he seemed like a wild animal that someone just let out.
Yeah, he was like, if you look at his promos, if you listen, I love watching shoot videos of the old time wrestlers. A lot of wrestlers were not fans of his because they just said they didn't understand what he was talking about. Like it was like Ronnie on roids. Just put him on, put a mic in front of him, then ask him, "Are you fighting this weekend?" And he would talk about Xenu and the space aliens. You'd be like, "Oh, okay." Gene Okerlund would be like, "Oh, okay, thanks, Ultimate Warrior," and he was just like, "I have no idea what this guy is talking about." But you got to remember, Warrior was for kids. Kids loved him. So, anyways, what is the secret word for this week?
Rocket Ronnie is wrong, correct?
Yes, it is, and you could win to see Kimmy Kaboom's giant titties, folks, and 70 other broads too, and they're all gorgeous. I wanted to ask you about Sam. Have you ever dealt with Darwin's deity?
I've been in a hangout only a couple times with him.
What was it like?
He's just kind of a weirdly condescending person who has an inability to listen to anyone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He just likes the sound of his own voice, which, I mean, apparently he's not like 70 years old because he talks like a 70-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Drag, how about you?
Unfortunately, one of the hangouts that Sam was in, I drug him because what's his face was trying his spiel on me, and I was like, nope. I think it was some stupid line that I had that pertained to. He was asking me, I'm losing words, thoughts, stuff, syntax. He was asking me about the uniformity of nature, the uniformity of the universe,
Right.
and how we supposedly can't assumed that, and that how unreliable my facts were, that were scientific facts, because of that. And so I came up with some line to counter that that basically said that everything that we have in science is provisional. So until we proven otherwise, we have no reason to believe that there is no inconsistency. He doesn't go to his car and put in the key and expect it to turn into an octopus. Like that. Let's be real.
Right.
So I don't find him very enlightening. He's not somebody that's one of these intellectual heavyweights that you kind of go, oh, let me second guess my epistemology here. He's just one of those guys that would not look you in the eye on.
He reminds me. He's got this dick move that Ronnie does, where he'll mute you, which I find just really annoying. And Ronnie does that, where he will turn your volume down, ask you 15 questions, you try and answer one, then he'll cut you off again, start over with 15 different other questions, then you want to go back to the original question, you want to answer that, but that was 20 minutes ago. It's so dishonest, guys.
Yeah, I agree. It's the most frustrating thing about dealing with him is that it's a deliberate dishonesty, and the big thing is that he's interested in preaching. He's not interested in actually having a conversation. I don't know what, like with a lot of these people, I don't know what psychological issues are going on, and It's hard to, not saying that he's pathological or he can't conduct himself in the real world. I'm just saying the type of person. I think it's the same thing with Matt Bell. I mean, obviously he does different things, but whatever would lead them to that place, it's just I'm at a point where I'm not devoted enough towards arguing a point where I feel like I need to engage with a person who is really just trying to be unpleasant.
Right. Now, do you ever do these? Would you ever go on an all-expensive, and this is for both you guys, would you ever go on an all-expensive trip to Vegas, but you have to stay with the person, okay? You can't just leave them. And you get to gamble. You get $10,000. You get $10,000. You could gamble. You can do whatever you want, but Darwin, G-Man, Ronnie, and Bell have to be there. You have to be in the same bus. You have to be in the same everything, okay? You can do whatever you want, but you're going to get everything paid for, okay? Would you do it?
I would, and I would. There would be a systematic approach as to how I handle each of them. G-Man, I would not ever talk to him about religion. Right. I would tell him if he doesn't want to go to gamble. We can go see. There's a petting zoo somewhere in Vegas. I forget where, but I'm pretty sure he likes IHOP and petting zoos. Darwin Deeds, I tell him to stay to the fucking corner before I kill him. Bell, I tell Bell not to die where in the fucking area.
Yeah.
Who was the other person?
Darwin's duty.
Oh yeah, I would say Darwin Deed. I would just threaten him. I'd just say, look, you piss me off, I will kill you. Just stop. Don't ever talk to me again. So I think Ronnie, I would tell Ronnie that he is free to teach me whatever he wants to, that he has to write out a proposal and he has to use correct fucking English, grammar, everything. Right. That is the only stick. So I wouldn't get in. Yeah.
How about you, Sam?
I couldn't. I'm not known as being the most patient person on the planet, and I think that I'd end up murdering someone by the end of that trip. I can't stand any of those people. I think G-Man I would get along with probably the best. I feel like I can't imagine having fun and having Darwin's deity there or Matt Bell.
Could you could you imagine going to a strip joint with those guys? You could see just Bell being a dick about it, going, I'm not going in. It's like, Bell, you're going to have fun. Let's just go in. No. It's like, everything's paid for, you fucking idiot. Let's get in there.
There's plenty of vagina in there, so he should feel right at home since he has one for it.
Yeah, I don't think the man's seen a vagina in 80 years or something. If he's supposed to be...
The crazy thing is he's like 49.
And
Oh
he
my
looks like
God.
shit,
Oh
man.
God, does
He
he
looks
ever?
terrible.
Does
He
he
looks
ever?
older than my dad, and my dad looks old for God. How old? His birthday's in like my dad's birthday's in like a week. See what? How old is he? My dad is almost 59.
Right.
So,
He's
you know,
he's Bell is 49.
I
I
think
honest
so.
to God
Somewhere
thought the
around
man was
there.
in his 70s, late 70s.
He's he's in his 40s because Fiona said that they're close in age.
Well,
Oh
he
man.
posted about it a while ago. I'm not, revealing any information that I didn't find out via G Plus post. Um, yeah, I mean, like they just seem like all thoroughly miserable people, like thoroughly miserable people. Other than G Man, I think actually G Man would be the most fun of that group.
Yeah, I
Like
think
I,
so too.
like he
I
would
do.
have to learn how to. He would have to learn how to dress because we're in Vegas, and he dresses like a fucking 14-year-old.
Yeah.
But
I
um,
think G-Man would be totally different. I do. I think the cameras, just as soon as he sees the cameras, he puts on the show. But I think people like Darwin and Bell, they will be dicks on and off the show. If there's no camera on there, I still think Darwin or Bell would be a total dick. You know. Okay, folks, we've been talking to Science Sam, and my co-host this week is the one and only Dragnauct Selvis. Check out their channels; they're so much fun. Sam, thank you so much for your time, and you too, Drag.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I like to put out some funny rants and stuff to make folks laugh, maybe do a little bit of thinking.
Oh, okay. So, no, you're great. Thank you, and I love it when you co-host because we need color on this show. Folks, you've been a blast. Remember, what is the password again? The password to get into Kimmy Kaboom's to see her titties is Ronnie is wrong. Okay. Thank you so much, folks. Be safe. You're listening to the Wrecking Crew Comedy Podcast. I'm Vito D'Amico. Be good and stay out of trouble.